All right, ladies and gentlemen of the beautiful crypto market today, we're having ourselves a nice market day. Even though you might not look at this and think, oh, we're back in the crazy green, we are. Now, why is that? Well, because over the last few days, we've set some hurdles, right? And as it currently stands right now as we speak, Bitcoin is getting over that hurdle, Ethereum is getting over that hurdle, and so is XRP. Right now being at $2.21, and just even though these numbers don't look that high, we are seeing a nice juicy pump right now. And if we're taking a look at the trades, you can see they're doing significantly better. And actually the two little small fun trades are in about $4,000 worth of profit now in 2 days, which are, again, we just did to kind of prove a point. The fact that if you consistently buy the freaking bottom, and that's also why we bought XRP so heavily, you most likely will do exceedingly well. And with XRP, I always say, if you buy like a maniac at $2, it's hard to lose. Yes, you may kind of get hurt for a little bit over the short term, but over a long term, you just can't. The only exceptions being the kind of situation we just saw with, of course, impeding war or something of those lines of that severity level. If you're expecting the world to kind of collapse, my first three thoughts would not be go all in on some coins, buy maybe some groceries, something like that. I don't know. You know what I mean? But in almost any other scenario, if your coins start falling down that much, and specifically, that's why we started entering into XRP around this level. Imagine if I did go through with my buying plan that I supposed or proposed to y'all. The only problem was war, right? Again, if the price starts crashing because of war, I'm a bit more cautious. But generally speaking, you saw we bought another $220,000 worth of positions this day because we said, hey, it is worth it from risk-reward perspective, but still, because you never know for sure, it's never a guarantee, you always have to be a bit cautious regardless, though. We have a few new announcements. Breaking. President Trump is considering naming Fed Chair Jerome Powell's replacement as soon as this summer is in a bid to undermine him, per Wall Street Journal. Now, I am not 100% sure if I take this as good or bad news. Like, it's hard to put this into a specific bracket here, because from the one end, if really the next person he appoints is significantly better, then I could see a world where this is really, really a good thing. But, knowing Trump, we'll just have to wait and see what exactly is going to come afterwards. Because, some might say that when we thought the SEC was going to change and Gary Gensler was going to come on in, we thought that would be amazing. But it turned out to be literally the worst decision ever. So I don't know. Regardless, there's more beautiful news though. Mastercard just partnered with Chainlink to enable billions of cardholders to purchase crypto directly on chain. You know what the interesting thing is to me? It seems as if I've seen the announcement 1,000 times of Chainlink partnering up, Mastercard partnering up with all these different cryptos. It feels like this is all the time. But the reason, by the way, as to why I think it should be Chainlink, except for others, is to verify these cryptos, and they might be using Chainlink for things of that sort. This guy says, tell the truth, you don't know anything about Chainlink other than Oracle, but I've made some videos in the past really in detail explaining why Chainlink is actually one of the best projects out there from a utility perspective. It really is quite an undervalued gem in some ways, but it's not a discussion for today. It doesn't matter that much. What I wanted to kind of bring up today, actually, let me quickly see if I still have it open, is actually the idea that as it currently stands, a lot of altcoins are really quite undervalued. And the way I'm seeing that is if you zoom out, this is, for example, the ETH versus Bitcoin chart. If you zoom out and look at it from a multi-year perspective, really, it's quite interesting to me just how bad this has been going. But even, let's just for fun grab XRP versus Bitcoin. Let's just see here. If we take a look at how XRP has been doing versus Bitcoin throughout the last couple of months, only then do you really start to realize that, yes, we are seeing some beautiful moves in terms of price. It's nice. But basically what we saw at the end of last year, right? That was a crazy price spurt that we can call like an altcoin season type of move. But everything we're seeing right here, most altcoins are still down from their recent highs. Most altcoins still are, relative to Bitcoin, still down. And again, we can place on top of that most of the altcoins are down 50% from its all-time high, while Bitcoin is at an all-time high, combined, of course, with this chart right here. From the one perspective, from the one angle, you should not say that, we need to hit this older value. For example, XRP versus Bitcoin, we need to hit 0.0002, for example, because, hey, maybe times have changed. Maybe it won't get back to that level. But I would like to argue that it could, in an altcoin season, at least get to a similar point. And if we take a look at it for XRP, for example, from current levels towards the top, is how much? Is about plus 1150% if we were to be able to go to the highest points that it went to in the past. Again, I'm not guaranteeing you that it will, but I'm just saying from that angle, we are down significantly in Bitcoin terms. Now, before we move on, here's actually a pretty interesting project you might have never heard about. It's called Amiko, or Amiko, whatever you want to call it. A project that launched a few weeks ago that basically claims to be the first voice-over AI hardware. That's the interesting part right there. This device that they've got right here, the Amiko Kick, is basically a, I guess you can call it a companion of sorts. And for that, they've also got the companion app, and of course their Amiko token, which I just showed you, which are all backed by Rise Labs. It's basically this little device that rewards you for using your voice to basically interact with it. So it basically farms yield for you while you talk. It's a very interesting concept. Now, apparently this is really being loved by some Chinese KOLs who are all in it already. And all I can say is AI right now is still pretty much in infancy, right? Over the next few months, over the next few years, this is going to grow exponentially. And it's always nice to focus on these projects right now in a time where it's not so big, for in case they do get big, as there's a ton of potential in this entire sector. Now, I can't guarantee you that this project will pop off, but it's definitely a very cool gadget, a very cool system. And if it pops off, you bet your ass this token would most likely also do very well. Not financial advice, but I'll leave a link down below. Now, to continue on, if you're asking me, so which altcoins are we really focusing on? I would tell you that it doesn't matter too much which ones you go for. All we need is for that Bitcoin turnaround. And the reason I'm saying Bitcoin turnaround is because, well, this season, Bitcoin has really yet to make a new strong high. I mean, earlier we saw, of course, it break some levels. It went to, above 100,000, which was a major milestone, 110. But if I'm being honest with you, I think 110 or 100, it's basically all 100,000, right? If we were to make a move from 100 to 120, 125, that's like a pretty big move, like a 20% move, 25%. But 100 to 107, 108, 109, 110 in such a slow manner, it didn't really feel as if we ever saw a massive pump that could really start an altcoin rally or an altcoin season. And I think a lot of people who want to diversify out of Bitcoin back into altcoins, right, are waiting for either Bitcoin's dominance to pick back up. But I would like to argue that if we're looking at it from an altcoin season perspective, really, and actually just looking at the numbers, it's 65%. Bitcoin is still quite dominant. But they're still basically waiting for Bitcoin to make one final push, maybe towards the 120s, maybe above that 200K mark. I think that will happen later, though. And then only will they go for other coins. And as of this point, that's literally what I can tell you. We are waiting for that, right? So it is already still quite easy, I think, to make a lot of money on just every single alt, but the risk reward to some people just feels a bit off. They feel as if there's a lot of chance of the Bitcoin price going down and them losing more money on altcoins than there is to win by buying them. And I'd like to argue that over a prolonged period of time, you can almost not lose if you're buying quality altcoins, XRP, Ethereum, Solana, Hyperliquid, even Tron, Dogecoin, Cardano, just some of the stupid ones, right? It's quite hard to lose if your range is wide enough. If you take a 1 year perspective, and I like to put it out right now, right? I like to just kind of swear it almost, but it's not financial advice. It's my thoughts. It's what I am really convinced and believe in. Is when I look back at my videos over the last few years, and just for fun, I'd recommend you look back at this video I made in, let's quickly see here. I made in October of 2023, for example. This is my exact bull run strategy to make millions. If you look back at this video of me being in the Vietnam jungle, I guess, or whatever you call this, talking about what my strategy is for the next few years, if I look back at that, I always say the same. I always say the exact same. Don't think too much about the short term. And I think Bitcoin's maybe $30,000 at this point, right? Of course, I also have videos in 2017 talking about this when Bitcoin is at 1,500, for example, and things of that sort. I don't think those count anymore, though. Most people were not in at the time. I think 8 out of 10, maybe 9 out of 10 of the people watching this video, though, were here 2 years ago. Most people are. And many people were kind of in a space where they were not fully committed, didn't really fully trust the process, or still, as at this point, are suspicious or doubting. And I would not like to say blindly believe in something. Start thinking about it from your own perspective. Think about it, and this is one experiment I like to do a lot. If you had $1,000 right now and you lost it, would you be devastated? Would you be really, really hurt? If the answer is yes, you would be devastated, you couldn't get up from it. well, then I'd say investing is not your thing, right? Because if you don't even have $1,000, well, it's hard. And I'm not going to say it's impossible. It's just very, very hard. Investing is at this point, it's just a tough freaking journey. I started this entire journey with $0 to my name. I want to give away $20 and make my way up from there. It's always possible, but it's just very, very hard. But if you have $1,000, for example, and you're like, oh, you know, if I would lose it, I wouldn't like it, but I could. You know, I could get over it because the money I'll make again. If that is your mindset, then the way I always see it is, well, you might as well risk it for the biscuit. This 1,000 can earn you tens, million, whatever. It can earn you the whole process. It can earn you so much more than putting it in a savings account, a bank, or whatever ever would, right? The only counter is if you really need this money, you can't think of a world without it. Maybe don't, right? From the perspective that you do not know anything about timing, and maybe if you press the wrong buttons, things go wrong. But for most people, I think it is worth the risk because it's a few years of your life where, again, you have time to save up again. You have all the da-da-da-da. And yes, you might get a bit behind on the short term because one person saved up $1,000 in a 3-month period. He might have $1,010, right? I don't think he will, but let's just say in 3 months, if he's got a 4% interest rate, he's got a little bit of money in that. So, and you all of a sudden are at $800 because the crypto prices went down 20%. So you're looking at him thinking, damn, I wish I never invested it. But then over a little bit of a longer period of time, especially if you were to be able to get another 1,000 and the price moves 50% down, you're down, but you buy again. Now, over a 6-month period, he's at 1,020. You're at, basically you put 2,000 in. So let's say he's at 2,050, right? And you're at 1,000 because things went bad. No, you're at 1,500, right? Because things went bad, they were 50% down, and you put another 1,000 in. So at the 6-month mark, you're doing way, way, way worse. But then at the 1-year mark, right? He's turned his $2,000 into $2,100. He's elevated. He's happy. And you all of a sudden have gone from the 1,000 to 500. You put another 1,000 in, you're 1,500. You went maybe a little bit down even more, but then all of a sudden you have that exponential curve because the season hits and your investments pay off. S&P could do the same thing. Almost any one of these indices could do a similar type of result if you just give it some time, right? I don't really know why people save money except for a few scenarios. One, again, this is money they need quickly. 2, they have it on the side besides their investments. 3, they want to buy something shortly, something of that sort. Or because they're scared or they don't know what they're doing. But really, in most of those scenarios, it's really because they're scared. I'm going to say for most people, it's that. They do not think investing is a good idea because they've not researched it well enough. And I think when it comes to what should you be investing in, right now, in this season, in the last few years, crypto has just been one of the best risk-reward opportunities, but this will not stay forever. So I keep saying, use the chance while it's freaking hot. Again, there are simple scenarios, simple opportunities like the bots I keep showing in my videos. You might think these are doing bad. Oh, my days, you wouldn't have loved to see them. But you'll see over the next few months just how much profit they'll make. I'm telling you right now, it's insane because I've seen other people do it. It's just absolutely crazy. I also have my Bybit bots, which they're so freaking cool over a multi-month period. Actually, a 1.5 years or so I let them open for, but it's insane how well they've done. But another one is... these are just my positions over on Blofin. I keep talking about when I open them and why I'm doing that. Right now you can see this is a few days. Why? Because you got to just believe that the price is going to go back up because they always do. And if it doesn't, if it goes against you, you got to buy a bit harder. You got to trust the process a little bit. Then again, right now a massive competition is starting over on Blofin with upwards of $4 million worth of prizes. If you're not done yet, check it out with the link down below to sign up for that. You'll find the link somewhere right here. Here's Blofin, and I'll also maybe put a competition link down there. But you just sign up, and I think every single person who's signed up through this link will automatically be entered into the competition. And it's a team thing, so if we all win as a team, that will be very, very nice. That's about it for this little crypto update. Hopefully see you guys again in another one, somewhere probably later today or tomorrow.